Zhong Linglong was the adopted daughter.In.Law of the Lu family, and only discovered their true identity when she died. After being killed and reborn, she quickly found her husband who had not seen a new partner for many years to divorce. Everything came to an end, and my ex-husband finally realized Linglong's goodness. He regretted it deeply and couldn't forget it. However, Linglong had already married her ex-husband's tough and tender boss. My mother.In.Law loves me, but my husband dotes on me. What kind of calculation envy Linglong is not afraid of. Husband and wife live happily together. Chapter 1. Death and Rebirth. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Water, water. After a few hoarse sounds, no one paid attention. Linglong struggled to stand up, but unfortunately the kettle was also empty. When she struggled to move outside the living room, she heard voices. Red Beans must not know about this matter. Linglong's footsteps stopped, and she was familiar with her mother.In.Law's voice. Red Bean was her nickname, but she couldn't know anything about it. There's already suspicion over there, Mom. What should I do? Previously, I could still deceive Red Bean into going to the hospital under the guise of a physical examination for blood transfusion, but now they have to do a parent-child test again and go to the scene. The person I bribed just sent me a message. Linglong covered her mouth in shock. Was the physical examination deceiving her? No wonder she was so weak when she came out of the hospital. And parent-child testing, what are they talking about? Why are you blocking here? It's really unlucky. A voice of disgust echoed from behind. Linglong doesn't need to look back to know who the newcomer is, and the only person who hates her so much is Su Yingying. She is Lu Baogen's child bride, and Lu Baogen has always despised her. She didn't go home for several years after getting married, but later found a partner outside, and that person is Su Yingying. My mother.In.Law cried and said that Baogen was sorry for her. Even if she couldn't be the daughter.In.Law of the Lu family, she should still treat her as her own daughter. At first, she received a heartless letter from Lu Baogen asking for a divorce, but she was still very sad. After dragging on for several years, Lu Baogen did not change his mind. With someone else, she gave up. However, her mother.In.Law and other members of the Lu family were very kind to her, and she had no relatives or nowhere to go, so she continued to stay in the Lu family for decades. It's strange to say that neither Su Yingying nor Lu Baogen likes her. She once suggested moving out to live, but to her surprise, the Lu family refused to let her go and would rather make the couple uncomfortable, even though they don't usually come back. But now she began to doubt her mother.In.Law and their intentions. Linglong's thoughts were only fleeting, and Su Yingying's voice startled the people in the room. As soon as she ran out and saw Linglong, Lu's mother's face changed greatly. Red Beans, why are you here? Did you hear all of it? Lu Baoqin's face turned from frightened to vicious. Mom, she already knows, but we can't let her go out alive. Linglong turned around and ran as soon as she heard it. Unfortunately, she was physically weak, with Lu Baogen and Su Yingying blocking her in front of her. As soon as she made a move, she was clamped down by Lu Baogen. Mom, kill her. If she wants to run out, our whole family will be finished. Lu Baoqin's face was grim, and years of psychological distortion turned into an impulse to destroy the other person immediately. Who wants to die if they can live? If they can't run away, Linglong immediately begged for mercy. Mom, Sister Baoqin, I don't know anything. Please let me go. Mom, why don't we lock her up? Anyway, she can't get out and can't do anything, Lu Baogen suddenly spoke. Tell me, have you been thinking about her in your heart? Su Yingying immediately roared. What are you saying? Don't you know what's going on between us? I've explained it to you many times. Lu Baogen was extremely impatient. Oh, if it weren't for my tight watch, you two would have hooked up early. After speaking, Su Yingying expressed her support for Lu Baoqin. She's just a troublemaker, she should have died a long time ago. Linglong looked helplessly at her best mother.In.Law, her eyes full of pleading. Mom, you know me the best. I promise, I'm not going anywhere, let alone talking nonsense. I really don't know what you're talking about. I just wanted to drink some water, and as soon as they came out of Baojian, they arrived. Her voice was rapid. No, she must die today. Lu Baoqin said sharply. Lu's mother hesitated in silence, but just for a moment, she showed a fierce expression. The strong desire to survive burst out, and Linglong suddenly pushed Lu Baojian away and ran out. Because she was so fast that even the Lu family hadn't realized it yet, Linglong had already run into the yard. Unfortunately, fate did not favor her in the end. She was chased and knocked down before opening the courtyard door. Help, they're going to kill. Only half a sentence of Linglong's mouth was covered by Su Yingying. Her limbs were tightly held down and she couldn't move, and Lu's mother's hand gripping her neck became more and more forceful. The feeling of suffocation is so uncomfortable. She just wants to live, why is it so difficult? Before her consciousness disappeared, Linglong only remembered the fierce faces of the Lu family, tears streaming down her eyes. She thought the Lu family was kind, but it turned out she had been living in lies and deception. She's so silly. People haven't woken up yet. If it doesn't work, take it to the county hospital for a look. It's so noisy. Linglong opened her eyes in a daze and saw her mother.In.Law's surprised face approaching. Red beans, you're awake. Ah. Linglong panicked and retreated. Don't come over, don't come over. The fear of being choked to death by my mother.In.Law was too profound. She dodged and frantically searched for self-defense tools beside her. Red beans, what's wrong with you? I'm my mother. Lu's mother was surprised. Isn't this child being haunted by a nightmare? Father Lu frowned. Upon hearing the sound of speaking, Linglong looked over and was immediately frightened. Isn't it that my father.In.Law had passed away for many years? Where exactly is this? Wait, Kong too, she hasn't seen it in years. Hiding in the corner, she looked at the Lu family couple in fear and uncertainty. My father.In.Law was indeed standing there, and my mother.In.Law looked much younger. Red beans, it's Baojian who did this wrong. If you're feeling unwell, just tell your mom and don't hide from her. Mom looks uncomfortable, sighed Lu. Lu Baojian. What's wrong with Lu Baojian? Stinky kid, I don't know if he'll come back. He just sent me that letter. I see he has hard wings, but I don't know if the sky is high and the earth is thick. What a good child Red Bean is. Don't be afraid of Red Bean, Dad will help you vent your anger, Lu's father said angrily. Believe it. Linglong's dusty memories have finally been awakened. Is that the letter that Lu Baojian sent her to divorce her? In his memory, Lu Baojian only wrote such a letter to her. What year is it now? Linglong nervously asked after swallowing her saliva. 7 or 6 years ago, you child, you probably have a confused fever. I think you should go to the hospital to see. The barefoot doctor in our village can only treat some minor ailments, Lu's father muttered. 7 or 6 years, it turned out to be 7 or 6 years. Linglong reached out to her eyes and flipped it over carefully, then pinched her face. Hiss. What are you pinching yourself for? Exclaimed Lu's mother. Pain is real, not a dream. She died, but she lived again. Linglong dreamily looked around. This house, this decoration, is indeed the old house of the Lu family in the village. After digesting for a while, Linglong finally accepted the fact that she had lived a lifetime again. The shadow before death was too profound, and Linglong still feared Lu's mother, so she used the excuse that she felt tired and wanted to rest again. When the Lu couple left, she quickly searched inside the house. In the old iron box containing cookies, she found the heartless letter sent to her by Lu Baojian. After reading the letter again, Linglong felt no longer sad, only amused. Why was she so foolish before? A man like Lu Baozhen is so sad for him. Aren't you getting divorced? Leave now. Also, she must leave the Lu family as soon as possible, otherwise who knows, one day she will be killed quietly again. Linglong made up her mind to clench her fist. Chapter 2. Departure for Divorce. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Linglong knew that if she said she wanted to go find Lu Baozhen, the Lu family would definitely not agree, so this could only be done secretly from them. In this era, it is not easy to travel far, and wherever you go, you need a letter of introduction. After careful consideration, Linglong used the excuse of going to the neighbor's house to look for shoes and came to the village chief's house. After brewing her emotions, she went in with a mournful expression. Red Bean, what's going on? Tell your aunt. The village chief's wife first became concerned, and the villagers followed the Lu family to call her Red Bean. Few people knew her real name was Linglong. Auntie, Baozhen him. She covered her face and wept. What's wrong with Baozhen? You're telling me, the wife of the secretary stomped her feet anxiously. Baozhen is going to divorce me, Linglong sobbed. What? The village chief stood up. Linglong took out the letter written by Lu Baozhen to herself. The village branch secretary is literate and even recognizes Lu Baozhen's handwriting, which makes him angry at the content. Baozhen, this kid is so confused. Secretary, I want to visit my family in the army. It must have been several years since I last saw you. Baozhen is talented and doesn't want me anymore. I think Red Bean should go. As a wife who is as agile and capable as Red Bean, Baozhen will definitely regret it. The secretary's wife first expressed support. The village chief also liked Linglong and said, "Are you going to open a letter of introduction?" "Okay, I'll help you open it, but does your in-laws know about this?" Linglong shook her head. "Secretary, I don't want them to be angry and worried along with me. I just need to explain this to Baozhen myself. So if you leave, can your in-laws still not know? I heard that the cotton spinning factory in the city is hiring temporary workers. I'll tell my in-laws to apply for a job, and if they don't come back for a few days, they'll be fine." After a few days, she had already walked away and was no longer afraid. "As a girl, can you travel far away?" The village chief was still worried. Linglong's eloquence made the village chief feel at ease, and she also wrote an introduction letter to her. When Linglong returned home, she explained that she wanted to apply for a temporary job in the city. Lu's father thought it was a good thing, but Lu's mother refused. Red Bean's health is not good, how can they go through such hardships? Just stay at home. But I feel uncomfortable at home. I'll try going to the city. Even if I can't choose, I'll let it go. If I choose, I can earn money and show my respect to you. The autumn harvest has already passed, and there is not much work in the field. Many people are idle. Lu's mother still didn't want to agree, but Lu's father agreed. When packing up, Linglong realized that she didn't have much clothes at all. My mother.in.law always says she's good for her, but what she wears is all the leftover clothes from Lu Baozhen. That's why she used to be foolish and believed everything others said. She simply tidied up her 2 clothes and changed clothes, and also took out her few private money. As she was about to enter the city, Lu's father even asked her mother to bring her some money and tickets. Despite covering up her pain, she was still discovered by Linglong, who is now sensitive. Quickly, Linglong set off with the villagers who were about to enter the city. As soon as she left, Lu's mother muttered to herself. "It's all you, why bother letting Linglong suffer like this? Lu Baozhen happened to go to his uncle's house to play, and he hasn't been at home these days. Otherwise, he wouldn't want Linglong to go to the city." As soon as she left Liujia village, Linglong felt that the air had become fresh. She has been staying at the Lu family for the past 2 days, and she dares not sleep to death at night, afraid of losing her life if she accidentally falls asleep. When she entered the city, she separated from the villagers, went around multiple times, and finally bought a ticket to enter the train station. Her private money, along with the money given by her mother.In.Law, ran out after buying the train ticket, and she had to save some money on the way. Perhaps she has lived for many years in her previous life, and Linglong is not afraid of going out. She just didn't expect so many people on the train, and when she got on, she almost didn't squeeze in. When she found her own place to sit down, Linglong was so hungry that she took out the last mantou from the bag. The mantou was dry and hard. Fortunately, Lu Baozhen sent some things home, including a military water bottle, which she took with her when she went out. She went to pick up some hot water, so that she could eat dry mantou with it. The various flavors mixed together in the carriage were very unpleasant to smell, and Linglong had enough to eat and drink and leaned back to rest. Even if the conditions are not good, she can endure as long as she can successfully divorce and leave the Lu family. Along the way, she also bought several mantou on the train for dinner. When she saw other food, she wanted to eat it, but she was reluctant to spend money. I don't know the outcome of this trip yet. If you can save some money, just save it. She also feels fortunate to buy food on the train without tickets. Upon hearing the train conductor shout for the station, Linglong quickly squeezed down, afraid of being left on the train if she walked slowly. Just as she got off, she heard someone exclaiming on the platform. It turned out that an old lady had fainted. Linglong couldn't help but run to the front. Someone is calling out for an old lady, while others are calling out for a doctor. Linglong read many books when she was bored in her previous life, including medicine, and also watched medical emergency science popularization programs on TV. Squeezing in and kneeling in front of the old lady, she examined her based on the knowledge she had memorized. Seeing her very professional appearance, people around her thought she was a doctor and quieted down one after another. Let's all scatter. Linglong roared and began performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation on the old lady. She pressed a few times and gave the old lady artificial respiration. After going back and forth many times, the old lady finally opened her eyes. Wake up. Wake up. I really woke up. This girl is so amazing. Linglong, who was praised for her strength, sat next to her panting heavily, sweating profusely, both nervous and tired. In the crowd, two people wearing military uniforms finally saw their delicate faces clearly. Although Linglong's face was covered in sweat, she looked exceptionally beautiful at this moment. Zheng Tianshan was amazed, leaving only admiration. And Lu Baozhen on the side was only stunned. Mother, what's wrong with you? A figure ran past them and rushed towards the old lady. Unexpectedly, the old lady inside was the mother of his comrade Tong Daju. Zheng Tianshan and Lu Baozhen quickly followed in. Everyone's various explanations made Tong Daju understand what had happened. Looking at Linglong beside him, his eyes were full of gratitude. Comrade, thank you. Linglong pursed her lips and smiled, it should be. But when she saw the two people behind Tong Daju, they were stunned. Isn't this the young Lu Baozhen she was looking for on this trip? Just as she was stunned and didn't know how to talk to Lu Baozhen, he spoke up. Comrade, you're really amazing. Are you studying medicine? Wait, Lu Baozhen didn't recognize her. Linglong instinctively looked at herself. She is over 18 months old, and the last time she met Lu Baozhen was more than 5 years ago. Perhaps there were too many changes at this stage that Lu Baozhen didn't recognize her. But she remembers that the Lu family took her to the city to take photos in order to make Lu Baozhen willing to their marriage, and even sent him the photos they had developed. But he didn't recognize himself, Linglong only felt sarcastic. Zheng Tianshan, who was standing beside her, looked a bit uneasy as she didn't speak. He quickly bumped into Lu Baozhen. Don't you want to see your partner? Hurry up and go, there's still me here. Lu Baozhen only then remembered that he had arranged to meet Ying and glanced at Linglong. He didn't want to leave. Linglong behind her sneered, and Lu Baozhen didn't know she was coming, so it was clear that the target would never be her. It turned out that he had already hooked up with Su Ying, no wonder he insisted on divorcing her. Chapter 3. I am a child adopter. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Even though Linglong has decided to divorce Lu Baozhen, she is still feeling resentful at this moment. The fluctuation of her mood made her watch the other person leave without speaking. Comrade. Linglong was called back to her senses. Comrade, are you okay? Zheng Tianxian worried. I'm fine, Linglong smiled. Looking at Tong Dazhu and his mother again, Linglong couldn't help but suggest. Comrade of the People's Liberation Army, you'd better take your aunt to the hospital for further examination. Dazhu, this comrade is right. Help your aunt out quickly, let's go to the hospital now, Zheng Tianxian agreed. Tong Dazhu nodded repeatedly. Comrade, I don't know your name yet. You saved my mother, me. Tong Dazhu, who was not good at words, blushed. Linglong couldn't help but laugh. Although there were anomalies like Lu Baozhen, most of the military comrades were still passionate and simple. My name is Zhong Linglong. Comrade Zhong Linglong, where are you going? We have a car, maybe we can give you a ride, Zheng Tianxian said. Where are we going? Linglong hesitated for a moment before returning, I want to go to your army. Zheng Tianxian was taken aback. Still somewhat weak, Aunt Tong asked. Girl, are you also a member of the military? Roughly speaking, Linglong nodded. Now Zheng Tianxian and Tong Dazhu became even more familiar with Linglong, and they were indeed the only troops stationed in this area. As he walked towards the car, Zheng Tianxian asked. Comrade Zhong Linglong, who are your family members? Tong Dazhu also perked up his ears to listen. Linglong didn't answer directly, but instead asked, can your military leaders handle divorce matters? Zheng Tianxian and Tong Dazhu were both dumbfounded. I haven't heard of anyone in the group getting divorced, can it be someone from another camp? Having arrived at the front of the car, Tong Dazhu opened the car door and helped the old lady up. He also sat down to take care of her. Linglong quickly opened the door and sat in the passenger seat. After getting on the car, Zheng Tianxian solemnly said, Comrade Zhong Linglong, if there are any conflicts or misunderstandings, the organization can help solve them. After searching around in his mind, he never thought that Linglong was the family member of a comrade who did not accompany the army. The conflict between her, Lu Baozhen, and the Lu family cannot be resolved simply by resolving it, and she believes that there is no need to resolve it. Divorce is the best option. Forget it, she'll talk to the leader later when she gets into the army. After all, the person in front of her who can walk with Lu Baozhen is afraid that their relationship will lean towards Lu Baozhen. Seeing Linglong bowing her head in silence, Zheng Tianxian, who was driving, also found it difficult to ask. Or did Aunt Tong ask? Miss, can you tell Auntie why she wants a divorce? Knowing that it was Linglong who saved her, Auntie had a great fondness for Linglong. He has someone outside and has written a letter to divorce me. This shook the three people in the car again. How unreasonable, which bastard is that? Tong Dazhu cursed first. Zheng Tianxian's face was also ugly. If this were true, even their troops would be affected. You're such a good girl, which blind guy doesn't know how to cherish. Tong Auntie was also very angry. Linglong is good-looking and kind-hearted. She couldn't even find such a good wife for her foolish son, and she became even more angry at that heartless man. Comrade Linglong, rest assured that if the situation is true, the army will definitely make the decision for you. Linglong's face showed a mocking expression. What if your good friend and comrade are like this? Zheng Tianxian frowned, but quickly gave an answer. As the team leader, I can assure you that if someone from our team made such a mistake, I will definitely give you a fair and just explanation. If someone from another team, I can also help you report it to your superiors. Yes, our team leader is the most fair and disciplined. Comrade Linglong, rest assured that even if the team leader cannot do it, I will still help you. Tong Dazhu patted his chest, promising. Upon hearing her son's words, Aunt Tong expressed great satisfaction. Although her foolish son may not have a good brain, his heart has always been good. Lingling looked at Jing Tianshan in surprise. He turned out to be the group leader. Wait, the name Jing Tianshan, she always feels like she has heard of it somewhere. Memories from her previous life began to emerge, and Linglong suddenly realized. She did hear of Jing Tianshan because he used to be Lu Baogan's boss. She also heard discussions from the Lu family that Lu Baogan's boss had made great contributions and was a hero in battle. Even if Lu Baozhen changed jobs later on, he often complained regretfully in front of the Lu family, saying that if it weren't for Jing Tianshan's superior not showing loyalty and not promoting him, he would still have a bright future in the military. So, the relationship between Jing Tianshan and Lu Baozhen is not as good as she imagined. Looking at Jing Tianshan again, Linglong's eyes were different. Jing Tianshan was very sensitive and noticed Linglong's burning gaze, which immediately became somewhat unnatural. The car arrived at the hospital, and Tong Dazhu took his mother for a check-up. Jing Tianshan helped hang up the number and returned, sitting on the bench outside with Linglong waiting together. Looking at the silent girl beside him, Jing Tianshan took the initiative to speak. Comrade Linglong, who exactly is your family member? Can you tell me now? Then believe him, Linglong's eyes became firm and she uttered 3 words. Lu Baozhen. Even though Jing Tianshan was mentally prepared to hear a comrade's name, he was still startled to hear that name. Lu Baozhen, are you sure? If it were Lu Baozhen, what would happen to these 2 people on the train platform? Of course I'm sure, my husband. How could I not recognize him? Unfortunately, he doesn't recognize me anymore. His words were full of self-deprecation. When did Lu Baozhen get married? How come this leader doesn't know? Marriage requires political review and reporting, right? If Lu Baozhen gets married, he will never hide from his immediate superior. Also, isn't Lu Baogan's target the comrade named Yingying? Judging from Linglong's expression, he felt that the other party was not lying. Comrade Linglong, as far as I know, Lu Baozhen is still unmarried, so it is impossible for him to cheat. Is there any misunderstanding among them? Previous engagement. Since it's a marriage contract, there's no need to talk about getting divorced. Jing Tianshan feels like his brain is not enough today. His words also shocked Linglong. Lu Baozhen is clearly married to her. Just when she turned 18, the Lu family said they could get married and even said that their marriage certificates had been obtained. She remembers seeing that marriage certificate when she met many times in her previous life. She was also unclear about the process of obtaining a marriage certificate in this era. Once she saw the certificate, she believed it. After all, there was also a divorce letter written by Lu Baozhen himself, wasn't it? If they haven't gotten married at all, what letter does Lu Baozhen write saying he wants to divorce her? After being shocked, Linglong still revealed the truth she knew. I am the child bride of their Lu family. A few months ago, when I reached adulthood, my parents-in-law said we could get married and go through the formalities. I remember they had a marriage certificate. She paused for a moment before continuing. A few days ago, I received a letter from Lu Baozhen, in which he said we had different views and no feelings, and wanted to divorce me. She turned out to be a child bride. Jing Tianshan couldn't believe it, but if it were true, he immediately felt pity for Linglong. Just the 3 words, child bride, indicate a lot. Chapter 4. Tough guys are gentle. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Taking a deep breath, Jing Tianshan asked, is that letter still there? Yes. Linglong took out the letter from her bag and handed it to him. Zheng Tianxian was about to take it over when Linglong's hand withdrew. "You're not trying to destroy evidence, are you?" Her eyes were filled with a hint of doubt. Zheng Tianxian froze for a moment and said helplessly, "Comrade Linglong, I'm just looking." Linglong just handed over the letter again. Zheng Tianxian took the letter and carefully read it, with a stern expression on his face. It's really Lu Baogan's handwriting. For some reason, although he had not been in contact with Linglong for a long time, he just felt that what Linglong said was more credible. Perhaps it's because of Linglong's kind-hearted actions on the platform, or perhaps it's because Lu Baogen himself doesn't have high praise for him. Now with this letter, his perception of Lu Baogen has become even worse. Linglong stared at his reaction, and as soon as he finished reading the letter, she quickly pulled it back and put it back in place. This cautious appearance also made Zheng Tianxian unable to laugh or cry. Is he so unreliable? But thinking of her experience, he suddenly understood again. Your troops will make decisions for me, won't they? Linglong asked. Comrade Linglong, because Lu Baogan's situation is somewhat different from what you said, we need to verify this matter before we can have a resolution. You need to wait. Linglong's expression was a bit gloomy, but it couldn't be so easy. But don't worry, if the situation is true, the organization will definitely not let you feel wronged. If you need any help during the investigation, we can also try our best to help. Upon hearing this, Linglong's eyes lit up slightly. She really needs help in her current situation. Can I still go to your army? I have nowhere to go now. She nervously twisted her fingers. She doesn't have much money left on her, and she doesn't have anyone to turn to. Do you have your identification documents and introduction letters with you? After all, not everyone can enter and exit the military at will, even in the family area. I brought it all. She was able to get those things because she said she was going out to apply for a temporary job. Zheng Tianxian's face softened slightly. That's good, once your identity is verified, we can arrange for you to stay first. After all, Lu Baogen is his soldier, and his leadership is also responsible for any problems that arise. With the right words, Linglong's face also had a smile, and the lines on Zheng Tianxian's face softened a bit. Tong Dazhu helped the old lady out, feeling that there was something different between Linglong and the group leader, but he couldn't say for sure. Knowing that Linglong was also going to live in the army with them, Aunt Tong was overjoyed at first. You're going over, we can also be together. My son is filial and wants to take her to the army to retire, but as someone who has lived in the countryside for most of her life, the thought of going to the city or living in an unfamiliar place keeps beating her heart. Linglong saved her, and she felt that the two were destined. If she had followed the army, she would have been able to see Linglong all the time, and her anxiety would have decreased. 4 people got into the car again. When the car started, Tong Dazhu asked, Captain, are we waiting for Lu Baogen? He didn't even know that the person he had cursed before was Lu Baogen. Zheng Tianxian's eyes darkened. Wait a minute, he took advantage of being able to bring him to the city together. Tong Dazhu thought about it and didn't ask any more questions. This car is exclusive to Captain Zheng Tianxian, but Tong Dazhu thought that his mother's legs and feet were inconvenient, so he begged Zheng Tianxian to come and pick him up at the train station. Lu Baogen knew they were going to the city, so he had the audacity to ride the car. Everyone is a comrade in arms, and Zheng Tianxian doesn't want to give face to this small matter. Can we wait? I'm afraid this face is really gone. Zheng Tianxian did not explain that Lu Baogen was the unfaithful man of Linglong, and Linglong also did not explain. Until this matter is thoroughly investigated, the fewer people who know about it, the better. After all, it is not a glorious thing. Perhaps she was too nervous on the train, and shortly after the car hit the road, Linglong fell asleep. Zheng Tianxian saw from the rearview mirror that the car was also driving more smoothly. People in the army all say he is a tough and ruthless king of hell, but in reality, he is a meticulous and thoughtful person, just not good at expressing himself. In front of Linglong, who was sleeping soundly, the fierce faces of the Lu family appeared again, as well as the hands tightly gripping her neck. "Don't kill me, don't. Zhong Linglong, Comrade Linglong." Linglong was shaken awake and saw Zheng Tianqian's worried face. "Comrade Linglong, are you okay?" Seeing Zheng Tianqian, Linglong's fear dissipated and she took a breath before saying, "I'm fine." That was just a dream, she had already escaped from the Lu family. As long as the divorce is sorted out and handled properly, she and the Lu family will have no further involvement. After finishing speaking, Linglong realized that she was still sitting in the car. Tong Dazhu and Tong Anti were nowhere to be found, and Zheng Tianqian stood in front of the newly opened car door. Seeing her puzzled, Zheng Tianqian took the initiative to explain. Dazhu took Anti to the house he shared. "I saw you sleeping soundly, so I didn't call you. The car is parked in front of a small building, and not far away, you can still see the trained soldiers." "Where do I live?" Linglong became nervous. Zheng Tianqian pointed to the small building and said, "This is our guest house, but there haven't been many people living here. You stay here for now." Linglong got off the car with her own bag and walked in closely behind Zheng Tianqian. The staff at the guest house saw Zheng Tianqian leading a young and pretty girl into the room, and the fire of gossip ignited. It is rare to see young female comrades around Captain Zheng Tianqian, how could she not be curious? In this regiment and even the entire military region, there are not 100 female officers, military doctors and nurses, comrades in the cultural and artistic troupe, and even unmarried girls among the military family who have a good impression of Zheng Tianqian. So far, Zheng Tianqian has been single and has not even talked about a partner. He is a highly regarded person in their entire military region. "Give her a single room, in a secluded corner," Zheng Tianqian said, resisting the curiosity of the staff. "Captain Zheng, who is this?" "She is a distant relative of mine, please keep it confidential and don't let too many people know. She is introverted and timid, and I'm afraid others will scare her." As soon as he became serious, the staff immediately made a statement. "Received, please rest assured, team leader." Zheng Tianqian asked Linglong to take out her certificates for registration, and the staff processed them quickly, occasionally sneaking glances at the two of them. As for the introduction letter, because it stated that Linglong was visiting Lu Baojian in the army, which was not easy for people to see, Zheng Tianqian decided to turn his face around and guarantee Linglong himself. After arranging for Linglong to move in, Zheng Tianqian helped her with a bag and led her over. The staff's surprised eyes kept chasing the two of them away. When did she see such a thoughtful and gentle Captain Zheng? Is this girl really just a distant relative of the captain? If it weren't for Zheng Tianqian's warning to keep it confidential, the staff would really wish to share this big news with their familiar friends immediately. Chapter 5. What is the target of the group leader? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Find the room where Linglong lives. Zheng Tianqian opens the door and enters. The door of the room remains open without closing. The relationship between men and women is very sensitive. Even certified couples dare not get too close together on the road, let alone make any intimate gestures. It is easy to misunderstand Zheng Tianqian bringing a young female comrade like Linglong over alone, and closing the door would make the misunderstanding even bigger. Well, Zheng Tianqian didn't dare to stay any longer. He put down his bag and planned to leave. "If there's anything urgent, you can contact the female comrade in front of me. She can contact me and I will have someone bring food over." Linglong nodded and said, "Thank you, Captain Zheng." She is truly grateful from the bottom of her heart. Such a person with good character and enthusiasm should be able to help her and Lu Baojian smoothly divorce. "You are welcome." Zheng Tianqian turned around and walked away. When he reached the door, he suddenly stopped. "You can live here with peace of mind, don't panic. The army will handle justice for you, and there are no bad people in the army. Although he didn't know why she shouted such words, saying so could finally make her feel more at ease. After speaking, he strode away. Behind her, Linglong's eyes had turned red. How could this man just poke people's hearts like that? He actually understands everything. Even if you leave the Lu family, the fear in your heart doesn't just dissipate. His words did give her a sense of security. Yes, this is the army. Who dares to mess around here? When Zheng Tianxian walked to the gate, he also reminded the curious female comrade to pay more attention to Linglong. If Linglong had any problems, he could contact himself. This kind of considerate Captain Zheng, oh hey, the female comrade really wants to pull others to take a look together. Starting the car and leaving, Zheng Tianxian quickly returned to his own office. The attendant Xiao Jiang, who was previously sent by him to do other things, has also returned. Captain, successfully completed the task. Xiao Jiang looked happy. Great, I'll go to the cafeteria to order some food and deliver it to the guest house. The staff knows who to hand it over to. Xiao Jiang became curious. Captain, have guests arrived? Zheng Tianxian was just about to warn him to pay attention to discipline, but he realized that many things needed to be handled by Xiao Jiang, the attendant. If he had to speak quickly, he would have to stop. A military relative has arrived, but her situation is special. Currently, she is my distant relative. Don't let anyone else know about her existence, understand? In an instant, Xiao Jiang's mind filled up a lot and he immediately became serious. Understood, ensure completion of tasks. Xiao Jiang was about to go out when Zheng Tianxian stopped him again. What do you think of Lu Baozhen? Xiao Jiang was lost for a moment before finally finding Lu Baogen's figure in his mind. Captain Lu, I'm not familiar with you either, I just think people are strange and enthusiastic. Xiao Jiang rubbed his head and revealed his big white teeth. Captain Lu always calls him brother every time he sees him, and sometimes even gives him things that scare him. He is just an ordinary soldier, but he only sees more scenes after following the commander. How dare he be arrogant? Zheng Tianxian seemed lost in thought. Go ahead, don't forget to deliver the meal. After sitting in the office for a while to handle some official duties, he stood up and stretched lazily before turning to the archives room. Retrieve Lu Baogen's personal file. Although the staff did not know what the team leader was doing with Lu's file, they immediately followed the orders to work. After obtaining Lu Baogen's file, Zheng Tianxian went back to the office to carefully review it. In terms of family situation, Lu Baozhen only wrote about his parents and a younger sister named Lu Baoqin, and Zhong Linglong was not at all involved. Thinking that Lu Baogen's matter was not a trivial matter, he went to the political commissar with the files. Zhong Linglong's situation can be kept hidden from others, but not from his old partner in charge of ideological and disciplinary work. What? Are you sure? Political commissar Hao looked shocked. The person is currently living in the guest house, and I have read it before. It is indeed Lu Baogen's handwriting, and it is estimated that the female comrade would not dare to fabricate such things. Zheng Tianxian calmly recounted. Political commissar Hao stood up and walked around the room with his hands behind his back several times. This matter needs to be investigated, and it needs to be investigated quietly. The impact is too negative. I think so too. Let's send someone to Lu Baogen's hometown first, Zheng Tianxian suggested. Yes, and Comrade Linglong, since you were the first to contact him, you have to continue to trouble to stabilize him. I understand, she'll leave it to me, Zheng Tianxian nodded. The two of them had a good discussion before Zheng Tianxian got up and left. Guest house. After Zheng Tianxian left, Linglong felt nostalgic for a while and then went to clean herself. Although the room in this guest house is not new, it actually has a small bathroom with a water pool and a squatting pit inside. Linglong loves cleanliness. She tossed and turned for so long all the way, feeling that she didn't smell good anywhere. So she quickly cleaned it up and didn't forget to use a thermos to go out and borrow hot water from the staff. Xiao Jiang walked towards the guest house holding 2 iron lunch boxes filled with food, unable to resist various speculations about the mysterious military affiliation in his heart. When they arrived at the guest house to explain their purpose, some busy staff members reported their room numbers and said directly, "You can take them over yourself. I won't have time at the moment, so don't delay their meal." Xiao Jiang was curious about it and immediately agreed upon hearing the words. Linglong wiped her hair with a towel and heard a knock on the door. She approached the door cautiously and said, "Who?" "Hello comrade, I am Jiang Hongjun, the duty officer of Captain Zheng. I am here to bring you food." Thinking that Zheng Tianshan had indeed mentioned this, Linglong opened the door without hesitation. At first glance, Xiao Jiang thought he had seen a fairy with long hair and a beautiful smile, and was stunned for a moment. "Comrade Jiang!" Linglong shouted. Xiao Jiang's face turned red as he regained consciousness and awkwardly said, "This is your meal, please take it." He raised his lunch box. Due to his recent impolite behavior, he now dares not look directly at Linglong. "Thank you comrade Jiang. My name is Zhong Linglong, you can call me by my name." Linglong smiled and took the lunch box. Xiao Jiang nodded mechanically. As the door closed, he muttered as he walked back. "The name sounds so nice, can this female comrade be the target of the group leader?" Yes, that's how fairies match their leader perfectly. Xiao Jiang, who thought he had seen the truth, was thrilled. He was indeed the person the team leader trusted the most. Seeing such a secret made him know first. He will definitely not disappoint the leader's trust, and Xiao Jiang's blood boiled for a moment. Linglong was really hungry. When she opened her lunch box, she found a box of big rice, a box full of meat and vegetables, and immediately ate happily. "Perhaps I'm hungry," she thinks these dishes taste pretty good. It seems that the food in the army cafeteria is good. She didn't know that it wasn't the time for the army to cook. These dishes were specially prepared by Xiao Jiang's fellow cooks, and they even paid for the meal tickets and money. Their leader has always been fair and strict, and Xiao Jiang will not break discipline. Of course, stir-fry is more delicious than big pot rice. When Linglong was happily cooking, her husband, Lu Baozhen, was also being affectionate with Su Yingying. Chapter 6. Regarded as Troubles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. "Baozhen, when will you collect the certificate from me?" Su Yingying looked up and asked. Thinking of the child bride in his hometown, Lu Baozhen frowned. "Yingying, wait a little longer, it's fast. That troublesome daughter.In.Law still needs her to agree to him, and his parents are no exception. They insist on deceiving that woman by saying they are married. He is at a critical moment now and cannot bring out any bad news. Who knows when the military's review will go to their hometown. If he had convinced the troublesome woman early on, he would be able to marry Yingying with peace of mind. Even if the army eventually finds out that he once had a child bride, it's all feudal scum. If the two didn't really get married, he wouldn't have violated discipline. To be on the safe side, it is better to change the child bride and her registered residence status into their adopted daughter, so that their family can do good deeds. After all, that woman's former identity was a problem, and their family's ability to take her in was already kind-hearted. His identity has completely changed, and it won't be useful for anyone to use this matter to attack him in the future. Look, Lu Baozhen is just so far-sighted. His mother's end is fine. His mother has always prioritized him, but his father is still a bit stubborn, so his mother needs to put in some effort. Watching the man daydream, Su Yingying was very dissatisfied. Every time I mention getting married, I find various excuses to refuse. This man doesn't want to eat dry and wipe clean, does he? How can he do that? Thinking of this, Su Yingying felt wronged. Baozhen, I am, but I have already followed you. If outsiders know, how can I live? Watching the beloved woman lower her head and sob, Lu Baojian felt a heartache. How could it be, Yingying? Believe me, we'll get married soon. I just need to discuss some things with my parents. Upon hearing the precise words, Su Yingying burst into tears and smiled. Really, it's true, Yingying. Don't you know my heart for you yet? The two of them hugged each other and got tired and crooked. Lu Baojian didn't know that his beloved child bride was already in the army and had even met him once. The child bride in his impression is still the silly girl who is thin and short, burying her head all day and afraid to look at him. Even if my sister bullies me, I always feel sad secretly and dare not report it. Will he, Lu Baojian, have such a poor rural child bride as his wife? He has great ambitions, and Yingying, who is so understanding and witty, is a cultured city girl who deserves him. In the countryside. Lu Baoqin finally returned from playing at his uncle's house, only to find that there was a missing person at home. Mother, where's the dead girl from Hongdo? Talking about this, Lu's mother is in a bad mood. It's not your father yet. That dead girl said she wants to hire workers in the city and make money. I don't agree with your father insisting that she go. This dead girl is also a worry-free person. One dead girl after another, where can one still see the kindness towards Linglong in front of others? Upon hearing this, Lu Baoqin exploded. She's in the city. Still making money. What can she do just like that? Who said it's not, but I can't handle your father, Lu Mu said, feeling uneasy as she thought of Linglong's unwarranted estrangement from her since she recovered from her illness. Although the dead girl has been doing well these past few years, the person she trusts the most at home is her. Why did she suddenly change? She can't figure out how to think these days when she's free. Is it difficult? Does this dead girl remember those things from her childhood? At the thought of this, Lu Mu suddenly stood up. Seeing his mother suddenly enter the house and search, Lu Baoqin is puzzled. Mom, what are you looking for? Find a package at the bottom of the box, open it and see everything inside. Lu's mother breathed a sigh of relief and quickly wrapped it up and hid it. As soon as I looked up, I was startled to see my daughter's big face. My mother, her soul was almost scared out of you. Why are you so close? Mother, what are those? Lu Baoqin inquired with a look on her face. It's nothing, just some things from before the dead girl, said Lu Mu calmly. Lu Baoqin only remembers when he was young, his mother was hardly at home and only came back once a long time, as if she was working outside. Later, my mother returned with the dead girl and never left again. Although her mother didn't want to bring up past events, she always felt that the dead girl had caused her to often not see her when she was a child, so she always bullied her. She didn't want to admit that it was because Linglong looked so cute and innocent that even her brother liked her very much. She was jealous in her heart and deliberately bullied her. Lu Baoqin was still deeply impressed, but Lu Baojian had long forgotten that when Linglong, the child bride, first arrived at home, he quite liked her. Knowing that those things were dead girls made Lu Baoqin even more curious. Mother, who exactly does the dead girl belong to? I'm so old, you can tell me. She is already an adult and someone from her husband's family, several months older than that dead girl. Lu's mother's expression changed as soon as she heard it. What are you doing? Go to work. You are always lazy and lazy. Which good family is willing to marry you in? Lu Baoqin pouted and left dissatisfied. When Kunyang got angry, she was also afraid and could only go to work. Humph, if my brother was at home, my mother wouldn't be like this. Although my mother is also very kind to her, with my brother at home, she would have to lean back on everything. My brother must know about that dead girl, so my mother won't hide it from him. She must marry a good husband's family in the future and stand tall in front of her mother. Lu's mother was unaware of her daughter's ambition, so when her husband returned, she began to discuss it. You said this red bean has been out for a few days and hasn't sent a message to our family. We don't know if we're worried about him or her. In front of her husband, she couldn't tell the various disdains she had for Linglong before. That's right, there's no confidence in this, I don't even know if she's successful in recruiting, sighed Lu's father. Wait a minute, if it really doesn't work out, I'll go into the city and take a look. I happen to have some things to do. Lu's father nodded. His wife goes to the city several times a year, and there are still old acquaintances in the city. It's good to go and inquire. After discussing with political commissar Hao, Zheng Tianxian immediately selected the person to investigate Lu Baozhen in the army. When Lu Baozhen returned from the city, the person investigating him had already set off on the road. Lu Baozhen was completely unaware, and when he returned, he happily boasted about having a partner with a few people who had good relationships. Both Tong's mother and Tong Dazhu were worried about Linglong's arrangements, but were urged by his mother to find the leader. Seeing that it was Tong Dazhu, Zheng Tianxian asked Xiaojiang to close the door and leave. Captain, Comrade Linglong. Previously, the team leader only said that Comrade Linglong was still asleep and asked him to take his old mother to settle him. He had other arrangements for Comrade Linglong, and out of trust in the team leader, he left now. Now that my mother has settled down, she keeps talking about Comrade Linglong. Coincidentally, he also cares, so let's ask. She stayed at the guest house, Zheng Tianxian said directly. A guest house. It's okay to stay in that place for a few days. If you stay there for a long time, why don't Comrade Linglong come to my house first? My mother doesn't care about her, and she will definitely be happy to stay there. He also thinks that Comrade Linglong is very kind. Zheng Tianxian's eyes were sharp as he aimed at Tong Dazhu, making his hands and feet feel cramped. Chapter 7. Maintenance by Others. You are listening at novelfull.audio. You are still unmarried and let Comrade Linglong live in your house. Have you ever thought about others' opinions, even if you don't care, about the impact on this female Comrade Linglong? Zheng Tianxian spoke sternly. Tong Dazhu blushed and admitted his mistake. I didn't consider it carefully. Zheng Tianxian's face softened just now. Comrade Linglong mentioned something in the car. Please keep it confidential with your wife and don't mention it to anyone. Political Commissar Hao and I have already started investigating. Speaking of this, Tong Dazhu immediately guarantees. Don't worry, Captain. I'm very strict with my mouth. After he finished speaking, he exclaimed curiously, You're really a member of our team. Captain, Comrade Linglong, who the hell is this? Cough, whose family is it? He almost called out Wang Baduzi. Until this matter is thoroughly investigated, everything needs to be kept confidential. However, you already have some insider information, may I tell you more? Upon hearing this, Tong Dazhu immediately felt that he had gained the trust of the team leader and sat even straighter. In fact, Zheng Tianxian was just afraid of Lu Baozhen getting close to Tong Dazhu, an honest person, and knew that Linglong had also come to the army, causing another stir. Comrade Linglong has some relationship with Lu Baozhen. Although it has not been thoroughly investigated, he inexplicably does not want to describe the two as husband and wife. Ah! Why doesn't Lu Baozhen know Comrade Linglong? Tong Dazhu was surprised. This is one of the reasons for our investigation. In short, don't mention Comrade Linglong's matter to anyone, especially Lu Baozhen. Tong Dazhu is simple and not really foolish. Linglong has mentioned divorce in the car, and Lu Baozhen is also of marriageable age. It is speculated that Lu Baozhen is probably the heartless man of the Wang Baduzi, and Tong Dazhu is very angry. I will never mention the word Comrade Linglong in front of him. That posture was almost like swearing and swearing. Not only would he not mention it, but he also wished to see Lu Baozhen again. Fearing that he would cause trouble recklessly, Zheng Tianxian never forgot to remind him. Don't bother him either, you know. He still doesn't understand the soldiers under his command. Tong Dazhu, who had been poked with a little thought, felt embarrassed. I know. Auntie, you know what to say. When Tong Dazhu left, Zheng Tianxian pinched his brows. It was really hard to worry about each one, and he had to take care of everything. Coincidentally, Tong Dazhu just left and ran into Lu Baozhen looking for him. Lu Baozhen was thinking that he had a lot of camaraderie with the captain of the children's camp and the regimental leader. It was not easy to directly contact the regimental leader to establish a relationship, but he could use the name of caring for military dependents to strengthen the relationship with the captain of the children's camp. Just seeing him come in, Tong Dazhu almost turned black. If it weren't for remembering the leader's teachings, he wouldn't even want to talk to Lu Baozhen and planned to kick him out. What are you doing here? He said with a stern expression. Captain, is Auntie in good health? I'm in a hurry and I don't know what happened to you guys afterwards. My mother is doing well. Do you have anything else to do? She said with an air of leaving quickly. Lu Baozhen felt a bit embarrassed. No, it's okay. As he walked to the door, he stopped and couldn't help but ask, Captain, the female comrade who saved people. Before he could finish speaking, Tong Dazhu, who had already turned black, roared. You already have a partner. What kind of lesbian do you care about? Do you know discipline? I think it's because you have too few training tasks recently and are still having wild thoughts. Lu Baozhen, whose face turned pale after being sprayed, hurriedly left. Before Tong Dazhu could finish, he brought in Lu Baogen's immediate platoon leader for training. He didn't directly mention Lu Baozhen, but only said that the discipline of the soldiers below was loose and the morale was scattered. He needed to strengthen training and tighten the strings. Some people still know about Tong Dazhu's loud voice when Lu Baozhen was scolded and ran away. When the platoon leader returns and sees Lu Baozhen being scolded, it will be unpleasant everywhere. This kid used to be quite smooth in his life. Why did he suddenly provoke the battalion commander and make himself unlucky? Because of Lu Baozhen, the entire team intensified their training, and others also followed suit with complaints. Zheng Tianxian knew about this and passed by Tong Dazhu, saying a few words. Don't go too far, I just reminded you. Captain, you don't know, that kid still has the face to ask Comrade Linglong about me. I'm just getting angry now. Don't worry, I didn't mention Comrade Linglong and just scolded him away. Tong Dazhu was completely unaware that his words had revealed the secret of his guess of Lu Baozhen. Upon hearing this, Zheng Tianxian's face also turned cold and stern. Well done, it's time to practice well. Being praised, Tong Dazhu was as proud as a little rooster. Ensure completion of tasks. Linglong didn't know yet that someone had already begun to subtly defend her because of her kindness. She wasted many years in the Lu family, without any merit, and with years of filial piety in hard work, in exchange for a heart-wrenching act of murder. The kind-hearted rescuers on the platform, she didn't expect anything in return, but she had already made both people's scales tilt towards her. Perhaps Zheng Tianxian's words had an effect, perhaps the atmosphere of the troops made people feel at ease. Linglong slept well in the guest house and there were no nightmares invading her. In the morning, she was awakened by the wake.Up call and Linglong smiled. After lying in bed for a while, she went to wash up. Perhaps she had never lived in the military before and was awakened by a wake.Up call, and she found it quite interesting. After washing up, she came out and heard a knock on the door. It was Comrade Xiaojiang who came to deliver the meal on time. This time, even though the food was delivered, Xiaojiang didn't leave immediately. Our team leader said that an investigation has begun to reassure Comrade Linglong, but we also need to trouble Comrade Linglong to stay in the guest house for a few more days and not walk easily outside. Even if Zheng Tianxian doesn't spread the word, Linglong dare not leave the reception center to engage in casual activities. After all, she is not familiar with anyone here. Moreover, there is also the presence of Lu Baozhen here. I understand, thank you on my behalf, your team leader. There is no such politeness between objects, and there is no such thing as investigation. Xiao Jiang felt a bit embarrassed because he guessed the relationship between Linglong and the team leader wrong. If there's anything you need help with, Comrade Linglong, just let me know. If I can do it, just come to me. After all, the leader is so busy. If he can, it's better to help the leader share as much as possible. Okay, thank you. Xiao Jiang blushed and left, bringing back Linglong's gratitude. Is she okay in all aspects? I think Comrade Linglong is doing quite well, Captain. Comrade Linglong has been staying at the guest house and cannot go out. Could you give her something to relieve her stress? After all, a young girl who has been locked up all along may feel bored. Zheng Tianxian glanced at him. You're quite worried. Xiao Jiang felt embarrassed to scratch his head. Zheng Tianxian walked to his bookshelf and was about to pick 2 books when he suddenly stopped. I don't know if Comrade Linglong can read, so he rashly sent the book over. If the other party couldn't understand, wouldn't it be awkward? After all, the illiteracy rate in this society is quite high. Most people only know their own names, and it's great to be able to recognize some simple and commonly used words. Comrade Linglong still holds the status of a child bride in the countryside. After thinking for a while, he rummaged through the boxes and cabinets before finally finding a comic book. Fortunately, he remembered correctly. Give this to Comrade Linglong. Although surprised by the seriousness of the group leader, how could there be such a childlike thing as a comic book? Xiao Jiang quickly took it and left. Received the Linglong comic strip. Is this treating her like a child? Linglong only finds it funny, but Captain Zheng is quite interesting. Chapter 8. Caring about Linglong. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Linglong is not illiterate. Her earliest memory was when she was 7 or 8 years old, but it seemed that she had already learned to read. In her previous life, she didn't have any other hobbies, she just enjoyed reading books and even taught herself a lot of things sporadically. I haven't taken any specialized exams, but Linglong feels that she knows a lot and is quite miscellaneous. But Linglong still accepted their kindness. Not to mention, this comic strip is quite interesting, and she is very interested in flipping through it. After Xiao Jiang returned, Zheng Tianxian casually asked, does Comrade Linglong still like it? I think Comrade Linglong is quite happy. Let me thank the team leader. That's good, Zheng Tianxian's mouth curved. Previously, Lu Baozhen was already a platoon leader, and the training tasks were not as heavy as ordinary soldiers. But this time, below the battalion commander, including several platoon leaders and deputy platoons, they all followed the task training, and these platoon leaders were nothing. When Captain Zheng Tianxian came to the training ground and walked around, he also praised several outstanding soldiers, and now everyone was fighting like chicken blood to practice. Just kidding, that was a rare praise from the Iron King's leader. During the inspection, Zheng Tianxian's gaze also swept over Lu Baozhen. This person has a smooth personality, which is rare in the military. It is because of his good daily performance that he was appointed as a platoon leader. If this person is really smart, how could they give up on someone as kind and beautiful as Comrade Linglong? Is it difficult? His new partner is even better than Comrade Linglong. Perhaps thinking of Linglong, after the inspection, Zheng Tianxian couldn't help but go to the reception center of the Youth League headquarters. Captain, come and see Comrade Linglong, the staff said directly. It's already here, and it's hard to say if Zheng Tianxian is not. How have Comrade Linglong been these days? Although it was strange why the team leader didn't take a look by himself and ask, the staff still answered honestly. Comrade Linglong is quite good, thanks to Xiao Jiang's daily delivery of food. Is there anything she needs help with? Comrade Linglong rarely makes requests, but I think she still lacks some daily necessities, the female comrade said carefully. If you only stay at the guest house for 1 or 2 days, it's okay, but Comrade Linglong clearly needs to stay for a long time, and some daily necessities are essential. Linglong is indeed facing the dilemma of lacking something to use, and she had no choice but to borrow from a female comrade a few times before. It's not easy for her to walk around freely when going out. It's not realistic for her to go out alone to find a grocery store or a supply and marketing agency to buy things, so she can only make do with it and endure it for now. Unexpectedly, Zheng Tianxian still neglected and felt a bit guilty. When he asked what Linglong still lacked, the female comrade suggested that he should go to ask Linglong himself. After Zheng Tianxian hesitated for a moment, she really went to find Linglong. The female comrade smiled like an ant. These two are handsome men and beautiful women, they are a perfect match. Captain Zheng is very concerned about Comrade Linglong and asks the attendant Xiaojiang to come and run errands every day. However, he is too embarrassed to show his face, and she can't take advantage of the situation to push him. Linglong has already finished flipping through the comic book, humming an unknown tune and writing in the notebook. The notebook was her own, but the pen was borrowed from a female comrade. Upon hearing a knock on the door, she got up and quickly ran over. "Xiaojiang, why did you come so early today?" As soon as he finished speaking, he saw Zheng Tianxian's face. "Zheng, Captain Zheng. Are you very scary?" Thinking of the evaluation of those brats below, Zheng Tianxian tried his best to show the gentlest expression. "Comrade Linglong. Are you here for something?" It's unlikely that the investigation has yielded results, but Linglong became excited at the thought. "Let's go in and talk. Standing at the door like this all the time doesn't seem like a problem." "Oh, yes, please come in quickly," Linglong panicked. Zheng Tianxian walked in, still careful not to close the door. And Linglong also understands very cleverly. She has not yet clarified the matter with Lu Baozhen, so we cannot let Captain Zheng spread any rumors about him. Captain Zheng is so kind that she worries about herself. She must not let such a good person's reputation be damaged. As soon as he sat down, Zheng Tianxian made a small request first. "You don't have to use honorific names for me all the time. You can call me by my name is Zheng Tianxian. Then I'll call you Captain Zheng. Calling your name always feels strange." "Okay." After speaking, the room fell into silence. Linglong still spoke first. "Captain Zheng, has there been any outcome regarding my relationship with Lu Baozhen?" "Not yet, but the person in charge of our investigation has already set off. Comrade Linglong, please rest assured and patiently wait for a few days." He was also somewhat apologetic when it came to this, as if he felt that the investigation was too slow. Originally, there was no result yet, and Linglong felt a bit disappointed. However, she quickly regained her energy. The situation was not moving in the right direction, and she couldn't be impatient. "So, Captain Zheng, why are you here? Since there is no result, is this person here?" Zheng Tianxian clenched his fist and coughed lightly, saying as gently as possible, "Comrade Linglong, what other daily necessities do you lack? You can tell me, and I will have someone bring them to you." It turned out that because of this, Linglong's face showed a smile. This Captain Zheng, although not in a low position, is exceptionally understanding. I really didn't see that such a tough guy could be so meticulous and thoughtful. Clearly, we cannot generalize based on appearance. Why don't I write it down? Linglong suggested, feeling a bit strange to repeat each one. Do you know how to write? Zheng Tianxian felt a bit frustrated as soon as he spoke. Sorry, I'm not. It's okay, Captain Zheng. Just a moment, I'll finish writing it right away. Linglong smiled nonchalantly and then walked over to the table and sat down. Zheng Tianxian just saw that there was an open notebook and a pen there. For a moment, only the sound of Linglong brushing and writing remained in the room. Looking at Linglong's gentle side face while writing quietly, Zheng Tianxian was stunned for a moment, then quickly averted his gaze and looked out the window. While writing, Linglongpu occasionally paused and thought for a moment. After she finished writing, she looked through it from beginning to end and quickly tore off the piece of paper. "Captain Zheng, that's all. Could you please?" Zheng Tianxian took the paper and saw the exquisite and graceful handwriting. She not only knows how to write, but also writes very well. Is she really just a child bride from the countryside? In an instant, Zheng Tianxian felt that Linglong was full of mystery, which made people couldn't help but want to explore. After handing over the paper, Linglong quickly took out her remaining money and tickets, and handed them over somewhat awkwardly. "I'm afraid it's not enough, Captain Zheng. I'll definitely give you back the bad ones." Zheng Tianxian originally intended to say no more, he could just go all out, but when he met Linglong's nervous and embarrassed gaze, he immediately swallowed the words that had reached his lips. "That's enough. Our supply and marketing store doesn't have expensive items, and there's no need to buy some. I have extra ones, all of which are issued by the military. If I can't use them all, they will still be new." Linglong breathed a sigh of relief upon hearing the words. "That's really great." Seeing her smile reappear, Zheng Tianxian became happy along with her. "I will have Xiaojiang deliver the item soon, Comrade Linglong. If you need anything else, please make sure to bring it up. You can treat the army as your home." "Home?" Linglong's expression instantly became dazed. Zheng Tianxian felt regretful for saying things he shouldn't have said again. He hastily bid farewell and walked back to the office, still regretting it. "Your mouth, why have you been making mistakes all day?" Zheng Tianxian did not realize that Linglong's words, frowns, and smiles could easily affect his mind. Chapter 9. Investigation of the Truth. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The person sent by Zheng Tianxian and political commissar How to investigate finally arrived at Lu Baogan's hometown. Because the recruitment was initially carried out with the cooperation of the local armed forces department, and it was the first person who came to investigate who went to the county armed forces department. Except for the annual recruitment period, the armed forces department rarely interacts with other provincial troops, which is somewhat strange at first sight. However, if someone presents a letter of introduction and identification, they must immediately cooperate with the work. Investigating Lu Baogen. The number of soldiers who go out from their small county town every year is not large, and some even have no recruitment quotas. Among them, there are still some outstanding ones, and people from the Armed Forces Department naturally have an impression, and Lu Baogen is one of them. The people who came from the army are not familiar with the place, and in order to investigate Lu Baogen, local people must cooperate, which is also the only way to find the armed forces. After all, the armed forces are still considered their own people, and it is not a last resort. They do not want to disturb the local government departments. Although surprised to hear that Lu Baogen, who was developing well, was under investigation in the military, the members of the armed forces could only cooperate. Firstly, the investigation focused on Lu Baogen's family background and direct relatives. In recent years, the management of registered residence data is not perfect. In addition to the chaos of the previous years, it is normal where there are omissions. This investigation revealed that Lu Baogen's family situation was concealed. Lu Baogen's grandparents are no longer around, except for the parents he filled out in his file, a younger sister, and actually a younger sister who was later adopted. And this adopted sister, her full name is Zhong Linglong. As for the family information and identity background of Zhong Linglong, there is no record left. She seems like a person who appeared out of thin air. The two individuals who came to investigate did not make any comments on this and only recorded the investigation results one by one. After checking their family information, the two soldiers began a visit and investigation with the cooperation of comrades from the Armed Forces Department. This visit first went to the commune of Lu Baogen's village. Many people who went out to join the army from this commune naturally have an impression on them. After all, this is a very honorable thing. They used to beat drums and gongs to bid farewell with big red flowers. The two soldiers responsible for the investigation first indicated that investigating Lu Baozhen was the official political review process in the army, and then hinted that only those who received attention and were likely to be promoted would receive this treatment. The people in the commune cooperated very well. However, people in the commune can only answer questions based on Lu Baozhen's registered basic information, and it is not clear what is more private. Fortunately, I quickly called someone for them. He is from Lu family village, and he is quite clear about the situation of Lu Baozhen's family. Comrade, hello. We are from Lu Baozhen's unit. This time, we are here to investigate Lu Baozhen's personal situation. Could you please cooperate? The first question is to investigate Lu Baozhen, and Lu Baomin, who still has some relatives with his family, should be vigilant first. He and Lu Baozhen are both of the Baozi generation, so when it comes to calculation, Lu Baozhen still needs to call him cousin. Baozhen, didn't you make any mistakes in the army? Of course not. If there is no result yet, then there is none. They are not deceiving anyone. Comrade, we are just going through one process, another said, implying that the majority of those who are valued and have the possibility of promotion will be investigated and reviewed in this way. Upon hearing this, Lu Baomin's expression softened. Their family and Lu Baozhen's family are already distant, and their relationship is average, but after all, they are one family and must be maintained outside. That's good. What do you want to know about Baozhen? The two soldiers began to inquire step by step. When asked about Lu Baozhen's family members, Lu Baomin quickly mentioned Lu's father, mother, and Qin, but hesitated after finishing. As far as we know, Lu Baozhen also has an adopted sister, the soldier who inquired reminded him. Well, that's it. Lu Baomin smiled. His troops have all come to investigate, and even if he doesn't say it, he can still find out from elsewhere. It's better if he says it well, at least he won't speak ill of his own people. There is indeed such a thing, and it is also my uncle and aunt who are kind. A few years ago, they picked up a girl named Hongdo. The highlight came, the two soldiers exchanged a glance and continued to record. A few years ago, the situation was not good, and many people often went hungry. Suddenly, there was an extra mouth, and everyone didn't worry. So they raised red beans as a child bride. Speaking of this, Lu Baomin nervously said, Comrade, this won't have any bad impact on Baozhen, will it? At that time, the situation was also forced. My uncle and aunt have always been the daughters of Hongdo, and the villagers know about it. Of course not, the soldier recorded kindly. That's good. Comrade Red Bean, what is the current situation? Red beans, of course, are meant to be Baozhen's daughter.In.Law. We won't wait for Baozhen to come back when he has time to officially hold a banquet for them. Everyone assumes that red beans are Baozhen's daughter.In.Law. As for how to turn the adopted daughter who has already been registered in the household registration into a daughter.In.Law, Lu Baomin never considered it at all. Although working in the commune, Lu Baomin has limited knowledge, and even in their view, it is not important whether or not to go through the procedures. As long as a banquet is set up, everyone will recognize you as husband and wife. When there was no more to ask from Lu Baomin, the investigating soldiers also closed their notebooks. I shook hands with Lu Baomin to thank him for his cooperation, and the soldiers still reminded me. Comrade Lu Baomin, this investigation is confidential. Please do not disclose it to Lu Baozhen's family. Discipline. I understand. Lu Baomin nodded repeatedly. He was originally thinking of saying that he would sell well, but when he was reminded, he also realized that it was not certain whether Baozhen would be promoted or not. If he had said it in advance, Baozhen would have failed, and when he couldn't say it, he would have to complain. It's better for him to hide it for now, and when Baozhen's good deeds come true, he will go and show his credit. After leaving the commune, the two investigating soldiers visited and asked some people, which indirectly confirmed Lu Baomin's statement. Those familiar with Lu Baogan's family know that their family had an extra child bride about 10 years ago. Over the years, everyone has regarded the child bride as Lu Baogan's true wife and is waiting for the banquet to be held. After investigation, the two soldiers returned to the County Armed Forces Department and used the phone here to call back the troops. After complex transfers and waiting, they finally spoke to the leader. "Okay, I understand now. Please record all the investigation results and bring them back." Hanging up the phone, Political Commissar Hao looked unpleasant and sent someone to call Jing Tianshan over. "Lao Hao, what's so urgent?" Jing Tianshan walked in shortly. "There has been progress in Lu Baogan's investigation." Upon hearing this, Jing Tianshan sat down with a serious expression on his face. "You say, I'm listening." Upon hearing that Linglong was indeed Lu Baogan's child bride or the default wife of Lu Baogen, Jing Tianshan's heart tightened. At present, they are still brothers and sisters in registered residence. It is absolutely nonsense to go through the formalities. I don't know why the comrade Linglong misunderstood them. Comrade Linglong must have been deceived by the Lu family. Jing Tianshan also clenched his hand on his leg. Chapter 10. Inform Linglong. You are listening at Novel Full.Audio. Although there were no so-called registration procedures, Lu Baogen did have issues with his marital status and concealed the true situation from the military and organization, causing certain harm to comrade Zhong Linglong. The more Jing Tianshan listened, the more stern his face became. If it weren't for your good luck, you would have met comrade Zhong Linglong in advance to learn about the situation. When this matter arises, both of us and the entire team would have been affected. He now feels that being affected is just a small matter, and only cares about Linglong who has been deceived and hurt. Oh my goodness, what do you think we should do with Lu Baogen? From this incident, it is evident that Lu Baogen has a significant ideological problem. This time, he concealed the matter of his child bride. What will he hide next time? I think he should handle it strictly, Jing Tianshan said coldly. People with significant moral issues like this, staying in the army, is a stain on the army. Political Commissar Hao actually agrees with the strict handling of Lu Baogen, but the specific approach still needs to be discussed in detail. After leaving Political Commissar Hao, Jing Tianshan walked towards the guest house. Comrade Linglong has been eagerly awaiting the investigation results, and now that there have been significant developments, he should also inform them. Seeing Jing Tianshan again, Linglong calmed down a bit. Comrade Linglong, I have something to inform you about Lu Baogen's investigation. As Jing Tianshan recounted, the smile on Linglong's face gradually faded. The first thing Lu Baogen did when he finally walked down from the training ground and returned to the dormitory was to spread out his letter and write a letter. Ying is urging so urgently, he needs to tell his mother well and quickly get the dead girl Hongdo to agree. He can't wait to get married to Ying. Red Bean, the adopted daughter.In.Law, is the stain on his life, and he just wants to wash it off immediately. After the letter was written, he quickly put it in an envelope, pasted a stamp and sent it out. Ying is good everywhere, just in terms of her appearance. Thinking of the stunning sight on the platform, Lu Baogen's face showed a look of longing. How wonderful it would be if Ying had the beautiful appearance of that kind girl. Lu Baogen was fantasizing about a beautiful dream in his heart, but he didn't know that the beautiful girl he longed for was the child bride he despised in every way. If I knew, I wonder if I would still be so determined to divorce. Jing Tianshan finished explaining the investigation situation to Linglong and noticed that Linglong's expression was different. He was a bit worried and said, Comrade Linglong, are you okay? Linglong squeezed out a smile. I'm fine. What else can't she accept? That family has even harmed her life, and the worst situation is nothing more than this. It's nothing compared to starting to die. That's just deceiving her again. She should have been mentally prepared long ago. She said it was okay, but there was no blood on her face. Jing Tianshan sighed silently. Lu Baogan's behavior will definitely be dealt with seriously by our troops. Comrade Linglong, if you have any legitimate demands, you can also raise them, and we will try our best to meet them. Linglong closed her eyes, seemingly trying to ease her mood, and then opened them again. With a firm gaze, she said, I just want to completely sever my relationship with Lu Baogen. She doesn't want to have any relationship with that hypocritical and pretentious man anymore. Jing Tianxian deeply agrees with this. Comrade Linglong, you and Lu Baogen have not obtained a certificate and do not have a legally recognized marital relationship. However, you are still on the Lu family's household registration book and have a sibling relationship with Lu Baogen. Do you think so? Of course, it's a good thing that there is no husband and wife relationship. It's just that she was registered in the registered residence of the Lu family. She was a little embarrassed and asked, Commander Zhang, if I trouble the army to remove my registered residence registration from the Lu family, will it be okay? This was her only appeal. Even without the need for divorce, she doesn't want to continue being a family with the Lu family. She would rather not have such a family with snake and scorpion hearts. She just wants to live well alone. Moving household registration is not an easy task these days, especially since she currently has a rural household registration. She was afraid that Jing Tianxian might think she wanted a rare urban household registration, so she quickly added, I don't want a urban household registration, as long as I'm not from the Lu family anymore. Well, there shouldn't be a problem. We will help you solve it. Actually, it's okay not to agree to solve it, after all, there is no rule that the army must compensate someone like Linglong for this situation. It's just that he wants to help Linglong in his own heart. Linglong breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you. If she could leave the Lu family, no matter how difficult it may be, she wouldn't be afraid. After discussing the matter with Linglong, Jing Tianxian couldn't help but add a personal question. Comrade Linglong, I see you can read. How high is your cultural level? Since he wants to help her, he thinks it's better to have a better understanding of the situation. Linglong smiled. I haven't gone to school specifically, but I do know how to read and do math. If I do it seriously, it should be considered as my elementary school education level. She certainly said it conservatively, otherwise her decades of experience in her previous life and her ability to study alone would not be limited to just an ordinary elementary school education level. Even if she hasn't taken any specialized exams, she still has confidence in herself in this area. In the field of science and engineering, she may be weaker due to lack of systematic learning, but in the field of literature and history, she knows a lot. Jing Tianxian had a clear idea in his mind before getting up to bid farewell. Comrade Linglong, the handling of Lu Baogen will come to an end in a few days. As for your registered residence problem, we will also help you solve it. You can stay in the hostel for a few more days. Okay, thank you, Captain Zheng. Linglong sent Jing Tianxian out and watched him walk away before turning around and returning to his room. She threw herself onto the bed and laughed happily. Lu Baogen is going to be dealt with, and she has nothing to do with him. Why is she so happy? As for the issue of registered residence, if you are not sure, you dare not let go of your promise. If the problem of registered residence is solved successfully, she will have nothing to do with the Lu family. Just thinking about it makes her feel excited. Since her rebirth, her most important things have been solved one by one. How could she be so lucky? By the way, everything went smoothly because she met Captain Zheng. If it weren't for the help of a good person like Captain Zheng, things wouldn't have been so smooth. Captain Zheng is really a great person. She needs to find a chance to thank him well. On his way back to the office, Jing Tianxian met the worried chief clerk and asked an extra question. Alas, Captain, there were 2 accidentally injured people in the cooking class who haven't recovered yet. Someone has been taking care of my logistics again, and I've been busy all day. Jing Tianxian could hear the director's off-string sound, which was a lack of personnel. He had an idea in his mind, but he had to decide whether it was feasible or not, so he could only slightly appease the chief clerk. The handling of Liu Baozhen is not a decision made by Zheng Tianxian or political commissar Hao in just one sentence. When the cadres in the regiment were having a meeting, political commissar Hao suddenly mentioned Liu Baogen's matter. Except for Zheng Tianxian and political commissar Hao, only Tong Dazhu had some knowledge about this matter among the people who went to investigate. The officials attending the meeting were all surprised.